Hi folks, Bay State Yankee here. I have a video today on 8 senior things I thought I would never ever need. I have a variety of items here today to show you and to explain why I got them and how they helped me, and some of the things didn't help me. And maybe it will save you from some errors in purchasing items, or maybe you'll see something that you've never thought of getting and want to get. There's also a possibility that you're using some items that I have never thought of or seen, and if that's what's going on, please post it in the comments down below, and maybe it'll help me out too. So with all that said, let's get on to the 8 senior things I thought I would never ever need. Okay, number 1 on the list is grabbers. I call them grabbers. I'm not sure if there's a technical term for these things. This is about 3 feet long, a little pistol grip here, and you can pick up small things. I could drop a piece of paper, I can pick it up, smaller items, cap for a bottle. I don't know. I picked up coins with this. One time I dropped a sewing needle and I actually was able to pick it up with this. They're handy. I get these at Harbor Freight. They're a couple dollars. There's only one drawback, is they're cheaply made. Now, I'll show you what I mean by that. This is one I had, my first one, and I had dropped this on the floor, and if you watch the head, it will no longer squeeze tight. Now, I can still use this for picking up a pair of socks on the floor or something like that, where I don't have to bend over. The problem with bending over is, for seniors, is that's usually the crucial point where we fall. And so I'm paying like $3 for this, or I end up going to the emergency room because I fell trying to pick up a pair of socks. It's kind of a no-brainer for me. You know, I'm going to get a couple of these. So I did find that they aren't rugged enough to hold something heavy. So I was shopping one day and I found this. And this thing, you can see here, this folds in half for storage, but I'm never storing it, okay? And it's got a kind of like 2 triggers on here. And this little black thing, I've never really figured this out right. The big grip tightens it and locks it. The little grip will release it, and it'll go even further. I don't know. Anyway, I use it for heavier things. I have it in the workshop. I can pick up pieces of wood, and there's a little hook on the bottom. So if the item you're picking up has something you want to snag, maybe you drop one of those cheap plastic bags and you want to snag it, you know, piece of rope or string, you can do that. And then right here on the end, there's a small magnet, if you can see it. Right there's a small magnet. So if you drop something, I don't know, something small that's metal, and the magnet will pick it up, you can grab it with that. This is handy, but I find this more useful in my workshop than I do everyday life. And this is a magnet. I got this at one of the big box stores. The head's magnetic. I can pick up a heavy hammer with this, and it's great, you know. Or if I drop nails or screws on the floor or something, I can just kind of sweep the floor and pick that up. Or if I if I dropped something and lost it, if you're working on something and you drop a necessary screw, you can swing this around and usually find it. The handle extends. Let's see if I can get this. Twist it. You twist that little black thing, it makes it smaller, so it's easy to store. I leave it open. I'm taller, so I leave it open, and that works. Now, occasionally there's something higher up that I need to grab, and the grabber may not be the thing for that, because you've got something heavy overhead, you're pulling it down. I don't know. The grabber just doesn't hold it. So I had this 6-foot pole in my garage, and I think it was a replacement handle for maybe a rake or something. It's a nice hardwood pole. It's 6 feet long, and I put a screw in there like this. You can see that I think that was something that held for a curtain rod or something. And I just drilled a little hole and screwed that in there. And now I can use this to pull things down. We have a storage bin in the garage, and we keep rolls of paper towels higher up. And I can snag a roll and just drop it and catch it, rather than get the ladder out. So all these things save me from like bending down to pick up something and falling, or climbing and falling. And I don't know, I just find them very useful. Number 2 on the list is jar openers. Come on, who hasn't had a problem open jars? In the old days, we were younger, we would just clamp our hand on that lid and just crank it, and it would go. I've seen people hammering it with a knife. I saw guys with wrenches on this isn't the way it's supposed to work. So I started looking around for jar openers, and I found this little gadget here. It's lined with rubber on the inside. It's ribbed, and it's made to fit over, I think they said, most jars. I've only found a few that I happen to buy that it fits. The little end is good if you're trying to open, like, say, a soda bottle or a water bottle, and your hands can't grip that. That's nice, because it opens up, you put it over the top, and then it's easier to grab this. There's little finger grips here. You can grab that going either way, and then it can give you the leverage. The only problem is if you're doing right-handed, your left hand is holding the jar, and the jar is just spinning. So you need to get some of these silicone thingies. These seem to work the best. Okay. Then I saw this advertised, and of course it was all in millimeters. All right. I don't understand millimeters. I understand inches. And I suppose I could have converted it and everything and done all the math, but it would have been helpful if it was also in inches. And theoretically, this fits over the top of many types of jars. And then you grip this. And yes, you can get a real good grip. But again, your other hand is slipping on the jar. So you need to go back to these. I'm looking for a better solution. Maybe there's one out there. I'm not sure. But this is very frustrating for me. My wife will call me in the kitchen and say, I can't open this jar. Well, neither can Atlas. So we've actually had jars that we had to put aside and not open until someone comes to the house that thinks they're big and strong and they can open it. And we had one jar that I had one adult and 2 grown children go through. The second child managed to get it open, but at first they thought it was ridiculous that I was even asking, but once they tried to open it, they realized. So anyway, if you have a better solution, I would love to hear it. And while we're in the kitchen, when you're cooking a piece of meat and you know that it has to reach a certain temperature before it's done, you can't remember what it is. Is it 160, 180, 140? What is it? And immediately you revert to the old school way of doing it. You take a knife, you make a slit in the meat, you look inside. Yeah, that looks done. You'll live, and you throw it on the plate. Well, that one time that it's not done, and maybe you're having chicken, then you end up at the hospital. It's just not fun. It's not a fun time. If you've ever had food poisoning, or gotten any kind of sickness because, the particular meal wasn't cooked to the temperature you needed it to, it's not worth the time. So we picked up this. Actually, I think my daughter got us this. And it's a digital thermometer. And it's got a range here, and it tells you, let me see, it tells you for poultry, ground meat, and it tells you the different temperatures, that you need to meet. And all you do is you open it up and you stick the wand into the thickest part of the meat, and it gives you a digital readout. You're not squinting trying to read this little blue line somewhere, floating around on a disk of mercury, No, it's a digital thermometer, and, once in a blue moon, you replace the battery. But it's just so simple, and it's so much safer for us. So if you don't have one, get one. I mean, there's all kinds of them on the market. I'm sure different price ranges, but you don't need to be a French chef. Just get yourself a thermometer. And while you're in the oven, a relative of ours who had worked at the fire department many years ago, they were handing these out, and it's an oven stick. It's just so simple. It's not funny. You open the door to pull out a cake or a pie or something that you've got in there, and your first reaction sometimes is to grab the edge of that oven rack and pull it out. And if you're not holding, a pad in your hand, sometimes you're not, you just grab it and pull it out, you're going to have marks for the rest of your life on your hands, plus the pain. So get yourself an oven stick. They sell them everywhere. They're just so cheap it isn't funny. And there's a hook here, right here, for pulling the shelf out, and then there's a little slot there on the end for pushing it back in. And it's like, and they gave you a 1 foot ruler on there. I don't know what you're going to measure out there, but anyway. And on the back there's, what do you know, there's temperatures of for beef rare, beef medium, beef well, veal, lamb, so it tells you the temperatures that you're supposed to hit. And I don't know, approximate cooking time. It's nice. It's just a handy piece. We have had this for probably 30 years, and we use it all the time. A couple great gadgets for the kitchen. Okay, number 4 on the list is what I call the foot garage. A relative of mine suggested this. I have restless leg syndrome. And so, all night you're constantly tossing and turning. You can't get your foot in the right position. Everything, the blankets are bugging you. They're tucked in too tight. And you spend half the night just trying to adjust yourself. And finally you're exhausted to fall asleep. You wake up and your feet hurt because they're curled over or bent the wrong way, or, it was nuts. And it was actually causing my hip to hurt, and it's a long story. So they suggested to get one of these things. And I guess there's a technical name for it, which of course I have forgotten. So I just call it the foot garage. And in theory, what you do is this bottom part goes between the mattress and the box spring, and you slide it in. You have to pull it out a little bit in order to get your fitted sheet on. But then once that fitted sheet is on, you tuck it back in. There's buttons on this side so you can adjust how high you want it. Of course, it depends on how thick your mattress is, and there's a whole bunch of factors. But once you get it in there, you can easily see how high you want this. Then if you're standing at the end of the bed, you make your bed, the fitted sheet's on, the next sheet goes over the top. Now, of course, your mattress level is here, roughly in this area. So the second sheet goes over that, any blankets or bedspreads or whatever. So it's sticking up at the end of the bed, If you're taking pictures of your bedroom and you're looking for that Martha Stewart look, this probably won't work, at your place. But if you want a good night's sleep, it's great. So at night, you get into bed and your feet end up here. And it's like nothing's touching it. And you're not shifting all around, and, nothing's bothering your feet. And I found that the first couple nights that I used this were probably the first night in several years that I actually got a good night's sleep doing that. Now I use it all the time. Really inexpensive. That comes in several parts in the package, and you can order it online, and it just shows up at your door. So if you've ever had that problem, consider getting one of these. Forget about, that'll make me look old, or I don't want to feel old. You're feeling old because you're struggling with this. If you get this, you won't feel old. So I recommend getting one. Now, here's some hard information for you. As seniors, we're actually expected to be able to dress ourselves. It sounds ridiculous, and a lot of times when I go to the doctors, you'll fill out a questionnaire, and there'll be one of the questions, can you dress yourself? Yeah, I can dress. I've been doing it my whole life, Well, behind that is the thought that if you can't touch your toes, which they always ask you, can you touch your toes? No, I can't even see them, But if you can't touch your toes, how do you put socks on? And I never, ever thought about that. It was a struggle for quite a while for me. I'm taller, and my joints just don't bend. They never did bend right, but as I got older, even in my 40s and 50s, it was difficult for me to bend my leg enough to get my socks on. I managed. I found little ways and tricks and tips and stuff, for getting a sock on one foot and then a sock on the other foot, and leaning my knee on the bed and squashing down on it so I could reach behind me to get a sock on, and it was a struggle. Finally, I broke down and said, okay, you're a senior. What are you going to do about this? And so I got myself I call it sock helper. You would take this thing and you'd slide the sock on it and then slip your foot into it and pull the rope, and boom. And I thought, well, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. And today I love it. If you can't dress yourself, you're being deprived of just your natural dignity of being a human. How do you go out? I would struggle to get the socks on, go for a doctor's visit, and he'd say, well, take your socks off, I would. And then before I left, I'd shove them both in my pocket, put my shoes on with no socks, and go home. Well, that works great in the nice weather, but in January, it's cold. But I would do it. So Then I got the sock helper. Now, I don't take it with me, but so there have been occasions where I came home from the doctor with no socks, but that's just the way it is. So I try to make my appointments in warm weather. But anyway, sock helpers. This is my second one. This is the one I'm in love with. We'll put that aside. The one I don't like, I threw away. It was a piece of plastic, and this is a mock-up. It was a piece of plastic, like a heavy gauge plastic, but that was flexible. And it was in this shape. It was covered with a blue material, like a fuzz, almost a thin nap, fuzzy material. And they had sewn it like this, and it slipped on, and then they sewed the seam very poorly. They attached, there were 2 slots, and they attached 2 straps to that. So what you would do is you'd hold it like this. Let me do it this way. You'd hold it like this, and you'd hold the end, and you'd slip your socks, your one sock over the end, with the heel being back here, away from you. Okay. You put that on there. Then you're holding the straps, you would slide your foot in there. And it worked great for 3 days. For 3 days, it was heaven. I could put my socks on. Then the seam up here started to open up. And, so I tried to fix it and everything. I thought, well, I'll just throw a couple stitches in there, here and there, like that. And that held for a little bit, maybe a day or two. Then that opened up. And then I thought, well, I'd tape it. And I thought, no, that's not going to work. The tape's going to come off. So then I super glued it. And that worked for a day or two. And then the super glue cracked. And then the cloth started sliding off. So I thought, I don't need the cloth. So I took the cloth off. Well, surprise, I did. You'd go to slide your foot in, and then the sock would just go with it. So you'd get like this much sock on the end of your foot, and you couldn't reach it to fix it. So you'd kick it off of the other foot and start all over. I threw it out. I found this online. This thing is rugged, okay? You could put a sock on a cow with this thing. And the same way, they have 2 sizes. This is the larger one. You put your sock on the end here, and you pull it. This is facing down. You pull it back over this little blue rubber piece. I pulled mine up about this far. Then I'm sitting on the bed, and I take these, one in each hand, and I just gently pull this unit away, and your sock stays on your foot. And in some cases, I can actually lift it up like this at the end, and the sock is completely on, needing no adjustment. And the needing no adjustment is, for me, the selling point. The only problem I had after about 6 months, this was stuck on with a double-sided tape, and this came off. So I super glued it on one day, and it's been on forever. That's it. It's real simple. A piece of plastic, 2 ropes, and a handle. If you don't have one and you're having an issue with it, get one. It's just not worth dealing. It's crazy. So I recommend getting one of these. And while we're talking about feet, toenails. This, my friends, is the evolution of toenail clippers. When we were younger, we had these skimpy little things, and this size toenail clipper worked great. Use it, fingers, toes, whatever, and it worked fantastic. Okay, nothing wrong with this. It's designed for lighter duty, and it works well. So then I progressed to this. This was a heavier duty one, and and it works good. It still to this day works good. I've had it for a number of years. However, it's difficult to reach my toenails. I just can't do it. Forget about the sock. I can't do the toenails. Okay. So my doctor suggested that I get one of these. He said, put your foot up on the chair, bend over, do that. I was doing that, and it was extremely painful on my back. Now I can't even think about getting my foot on the chair. These work fantastic. I swear you could do hoofs on a horse with this thing. It's excellent, okay? It was a little pricey, but I got it, thinking it would work, and I did manage to catch a few nails here and there with it, but never enough to pay for itself. But someday. So I got one of these little gadgets. This puppy's about 3 feet long. It actually came with a clip-on magnifying glass that you clip on down here right above the clipper, so that if your eyesight was bad, you could see through the eyeglass and see the end of the nail and that. And, that worked. It still works. I have it somewhere, but I don't have it out. And there's a plunger affair at the top that you push. And when you push that, like with your thumb, it activates the toenail clipper. Two problems with this. Number one, using that mechanism, it doesn't have enough power to clip through your heavier toenails. If you're doing like the nail on your smallest toe, that nail doesn't tend to be as thick or as heavy, hard as the big toe. So, I can clip those. Also, sometimes your toes crimp under like this, or they kind of bend together. And when that happens, if you can't reach your toes, you can't separate your toes with one hand and clip them with the other. It's because your other hand's up here, and it's crazy. So I didn't know what to do with it. This was pricey. This was almost $40, and it's well made. It does what it's intended to do. But I think I found, in discussing with other people, women tend to have thinner toenails than what men do. So I'm stuck with that. But the solution is to soak your feet prior to clipping your nails. Well, I didn't have necessarily a foot bath. I had a bin one time. I tried that, and we have a walk-in shower, so I sat in there and I soaked the toes, and then I gave it like a half an hour, and I got out and managed to, cut them back pretty good. But what I have to do on a regular basis, so I ordered an electric foot bath that circulates the water, and then there's some brushes underneath to kind of massage your feet and everything. And I'm anxious to get that and try it out and see how it goes. But I never thought I would ever be in this situation where I'm spending, by the time I'm done, close to $100 to cut my toenails. And maybe you're in the same boat too. And if you have a solution, I would love to hear it. But that's it for toes. Number 6, items I've never thought I would ever have to use again. I say again because when I was a kid, we had one of these, the heating pad. Your mother kept it in the closet, and she looked for reasons to bring it out. She'd plug that old thing in, and all the lights in the neighborhood would dim. and you'd sit there with a sore arm or leg or back or whatever, and she'd make you wear it until you had a square red mark on your back for the rest of your life. Nowadays, they're a little safer. They automatically shut off, but if you don't follow the directions, you can easily burn yourself, and you don't want to use it in the tub and a lot of other things. But I use it on a regular basis, and I hate to have to admit that, but that's just life, I use it. I sometimes leave it near the chair, unplugged, and then just plug it in as needed. Other days I can go without it, but I haven't worn it out yet. But I'm on that road. I recommend you get one if you don't have one. Even if you don't think you need it, get one, because there are some days, particularly in the winter, if the cold weather bothers you and that cold gets in your bones, you could slap one of these babies on and boom, you're feeling better right away. So that's number 6 on our list, the heating pad. Just be careful and read the directions. There are certain things you can't do with it, Anyway, get one. Okay, number 7 on the list is canes. Nothing says old like a person with a cane. And if you don't believe me, ask some young kid to draw a picture of an old person. Give them a piece of paper and say, draw a picture of an old person. And almost always, they will put a cane in the hand, usually the right hand, of that old person. I don't know what it is, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. I actually made this. I think I was about 40 years old, and I was working in the woods, and I found this thing growing, and it was growing up like this. It had that natural crook, and at the end here, there was a piece that came straight down into the ground. I cut that off, flipped it around, and I thought that'd make a great cane. The only problem, it's about 1.5 to 2 inches too short for me. I cleaned it up, dried it, put a coat of polyurethane on it, and I kept it for a long time. I wrapped it up and never thought I'd need it. I thought that I'll gift it to somebody that needs it, or, I don't know. But I kept it. About a year ago, I started using it. And we had a dog. I would go outside, and particularly in the winter, and I needed a third point of contact on the ground, to help me keep my balance. And so I took the cane and I used that. And then seeing how much it worked, how well it worked, I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another cane. So what I got, I call it a stick. It's like a hiking pole. And you've seen people use them, mountain climbing and going for hikes on trails and stuff. And it's adjustable. It's for my height. They have them that are adjustable for shorter people. And I'm not too nuts about the little strap, but sometimes I drop it and I have to actually utilize that strap to be able to pick it up. I have 2 of these. Right now they have rubber feet on them. And if I can get this off here, the rubber feet just pop off, and there's a metal bit, if you could see it, that bites into the ice or snow in the winter. So if I'm outside, I can use that. I use these every day now. Even in the house. If I go outside on the lawn that's uneven, I have to use 2. Sometimes I catch myself and I'm not doing it, but then something happens, I'm going down. So it's not fun. And it does not make the wife happy. I'm not happy with it. So I never thought I'd be doing this, but here I am. So that's Number 7. And lastly, number 8, the walker, the dreaded walker. We all have visions, and every one of us, the tennis balls on the bottom, the little basket on the front, horn. Yep. And boy, do you get a razzing when you get your first walker. I went to the hospital that day in the ambulance, and not knowing I had spinal stenosis, spent 8 hours there, withering in pain, and then was released. And they wanted to send me out in a wheelchair. And I didn't think I wanted to do that. I thought I could walk. So they suggested a walker. And luckily, the insurance company paid for this. So I'm not sure what the total cost was. But in any case, I have to admit, I love it. It's hard getting around my house. I have what I would consider a small ranch. It's about 1,000 square feet. Hallways are small. I have to go sideways through a door. Sometimes if I go to use the bathroom, I leave it in the hallway and just go in. It's not the best solution. But because I can't get my balance, as I get through the day and I get more tired, my balance is even worse and worse. So using this actually helps me restore it, even if I'm only using it for 10, 15 minutes. So now I keep it up here and I use it. If I go out somewhere, I use the hiking poles, but this is fantastic. I can use it inside. Right now I'm on the porch. I can go out that door, across the ramp over to the deck, and I'll use that and I'm fine. If you don't have one and you're having issues with falling, get one. I'm sure your insurance will help you. Even if you can't, there are other agencies that can help you with things like this. It won't make you old. You are as old as you are, and that's the way it is. Nothing can change that. But that's not a bad thing, and you need to keep mobile. That's my number 8. That's the probably the top thing I thought I would never ever need or have, but there it is. It's mine, and I'm not giving it up. So those are my 8 things I thought I would never ever have to get as I became a senior. As I said, when I was younger, I'd see other senior people and they'd have all these little things, and I thought, well, they were just eccentric, and that was the way it was. Or they had some major health issue, and okay, that's accepted. But I thought, when I get to be old, I'm not going to have all that stuff. I got a room full of it, and I love it, and I'm looking for more stuff. It makes my life tremendously easier knowing that I can still do the things I want to do, have to do, and even if it's in a different way, I had to embrace it. And I think I had to go through a very dark period, and then just for a short time, and then tell myself, I'm not going down yet. I'm gonna live with this, and I'm gonna get by. So I hope I can motivate you, if you're in the same position, to do something similar. If you have something that makes your life easier, some gadget or tool or something, let me know in the comments. I would love to try it. Nothing is too simple. In any case, wherever you are, if I know in this country, and I don't know about other countries, but a lot of our areas have elder services. And here, I'm in Western Massachusetts, and in my opinion, we have one of the best elder services right down the street from where I live. I went down on a Saturday, ended up in the hospital, and Monday morning, the first phone call we got was from the elder services, and they wanted to know what they could do for me to help me out. And they went through a series with my wife. They talked about a series of things that they could do, and they asked a lot of questions. They had an on-duty nurse that could come out, anything that you could think of. They were willing to help us and to get us connected with other agencies that would give us a hand. Get connected with those people. That's why they're there. And in most cases, it's absolutely free. We have worked for this for our whole lives. Come on, you know that. And this is our payback. And, they're there to help us. So give them a chance and give them a call and just find out what they have. Sometimes they'll come out, depending on your situation, they'll come out and check out your home to see, do you have a fall risk or something? Or, could you use a grab bar? Could you use this or that and everything? And they just snap their fingers and have it done. You don't have to make calls or nothing. So check it out because, maybe it'll help you out. Maybe it will save you from some pain and suffering. And that would really make me happy. So please, 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 do it for yourself. You deserve it. So I hope you have a good day. And if you're suffering, I hope you feel better. And thank you very much for watching. And I got a few more videos coming, and it'll be a little while, but I'll get them out to you. Thanks a lot.